started up Warhammer. I'm going to get started here soon. Pretty chill day today. We're not gonna do much. I'm gonna play Warhammer for the first time. There wasn't really much in the news today. There was that 5G thing, the alert that happened today that a bunch of people thought was gonna do something. I didn't believe that it was gonna do anything, but there's a bunch of people who thought it was. It's kind of a non-story. And then Nancy Pelosi got kicked out of her office, which was kind of funny. That was about it that happened today, so not really much stories to talk about. And I worked pretty late today, so I'm tired. We're just gonna play a game, hang out, go watch the Philosophy Iceberg video while I play the game, and that's about it. Yeah. Here we go. Everything's working, it looks like.
Philosophy, a tool that is used to help understand the world around us, knowledge, reality, and our very existence. Now, this iceberg may seem like a boring topic, but I was really surprised to learn how interesting and intriguing these entries are. And this iceberg is pretty similar to the existential crisis iceberg I've already covered, but it's very different in a number of ways. And by the way, check that out if you haven't already. But anyways, this will dive into philosophers and their beliefs and different teachings, and other things like that. I've been really interested in philosophy and the different teachings lately, so I just decided to make this video. And since this topic idea interests me so much, we'll be diving pretty deep into every entry in this iceberg, so that's why the video is so long. And also, this won't be heavily edited since it is so heavily scripted, and since it's so long. And let me know how you guys enjoy that and the difference in editing style. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. And actually, before we start the video, subscribe. I post videos all the time and on a ton of different subjects. And my goal for the end of the year is 50,000 subscribers, so that'd be awesome if you help me reach that goal. It's free, you can always change your mind. So, since that's out of the way, let's dive into the philosophy iceberg. Alright, just diving right into one of the iceberg and starting off with rationalism. Rationalism is a philosophical idea that says we can understand the world and gain knowledge mainly by using our thinking and reasoning abilities. While it doesn't ignore our senses and experiences, it believes that our reason, or our ability to think logically, is more important than finding out important truths about the world. One famous thinker who followed this idea was René Descartes. He started by questioning everything he believed and found that he couldn't doubt the fact that he was thinking. So he famously said, "I think, so I exist." This meant that thinking was proof of his existence. Other important rationalist philosophers, including Baruch Spinoza or Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Spinoza thought that the God and nature were the same thing, and that understanding this required using reason to see an order in the world. Leibniz believed that everything in the universe followed a plan set by God, and he introduced the idea of monads, which were tiny building blocks of reality. Rationalism also likes math and logical thinking a lot. Descartes and Leibniz, for example, made big contributions to math, showing how reason can help us discover new things, but not everyone agrees with rationalism. Some people, called empiricists, think that we learn everything through our senses and experiences, not just by thinking. They say that relying too much on reason alone can lead to overly abstract and sometimes wrong ideas. In today's philosophy, rationalism still matters. Philosophers are still talking about how much we can learn from reason, whether we're born from certain ideas in our head, and what truths are so obvious that we just can't deny them. These discussions affect lots of areas, including science, ethics, and how we understand the mind. Empiricism is a way of thinking that says we learn most things by seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, basically just through our senses. Unlike some other ideas like rationalism that says we have built-in knowledge, empiricists believe our minds start as an empty slate and we fill them up with knowledge from what we experience. One important person in the world of empiricism is John Locke. He thought that when we're born, our minds are like blank sheets of paper. As we go through life, we write on a paper and what we learn from our senses.
Though your rapid march south has brought some welcome additional forces, the situation remains grim. See for yourself.
Protector of the Everqueen.
Alright. What do I do here?
Ready to serve.
Your host enters the theater of war, Prince Tyrion. Wield your forces wisely. They are your best hope for averting Lothan's destruction. The city port of Lothan, your capital, is the seat of the Phoenix King. A garrison defends the city, but it is gravely threatened. Druki raiders sack the surrounding countryside, probing the city's defenses. The Phoenix throne cannot be allowed to fall. The Dark Elves must be engaged and driven from Ulthuan.
Foolish request.
Tyrion, heir of Anarion. Short-sighted.
Alright, I don't know what to do.
Lightning strikes by the enemy have gained them control of the Tower of Lycian, Lord Tyrion. Its capture means they now command the Straits of Lothan at both ends. Furthermore, scouts report that the Dark Elves have struck at Angeriel and overrun the defenses there. Digging them out of this fortified city will not be easy, my prince. The Druki must not be left to despoil the inner kingdoms of Ulthuan. The Aesir's history with the Druki goes back millennia. You are no stranger to their wicked and vicious methods of war. They must not be allowed to enter your capital. Prince Tyrion, now is the perfect time to attack. Select your army first.
How do I select my army?
Now, issue an order to engage the enemy, my lord. They are scattered and not prepared for an attack so soon.
No. Denied.
Servant of the king.
Who do I need to attack?
Ever vigilant. By assuring...
Oh, there we go.
Battle is upon you, Prince Tyrion. Have your host sharpen their swords, fasten their armor, and prepare for bloodshed.
Huh. This is pretty crazy.
So what we hear, touch, and so on shapes what we know. Another thinker, George Berkeley, believed that everyone that exists is made up of ideas in our mind. In other words, if we don't perceive something, it just doesn't exist. This might sound strange, but it's a way of emphasizing how important our senses are in creating our understanding of the world. David Hume was another famous empiricist who looked on how we know things. He questioned the idea of cause and effect, which is a big part on how we understand the world. He also said that a lot of what we believe in comes from habits and customs, not just solidified evidence. Empiricism has had a big impact on science. Scientists use their senses and experiments to learn from the world. For example, when scientists observe and test things, they're following an empirical approach to gain knowledge. In today's world, empiricism is still important in how we know about knowledge and understanding. Knowledge is a true, justified belief. Imagine you're trying to understand what it means to know something. At its core, knowledge is like a three-legged stool, with each leg representing a crucial aspect. First, there's belief. Think of beliefs as a foundation of knowledge. Before you claim to know something, you must believe it to be true. For instance, if you believe the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, you're starting with a basic belief about the world. Now let's add another leg to our stool, justification. This is what supports your belief. Imagine you've asked, why do we believe the sun rises in the east? Your response might include reasons like, I've seen it rise in the east many times, or it matches what I've learned from science. These reasons or evidence make your belief in the sun's rising in the east justified. But we're not done yet. There's one more leg to our stool, truth. This is the leg that ensures your belief isn't based on mistake or falsehood. In our example, if you believe the sun rises in the east and then does rise in the east, your belief aligns with reality. It's true. So, to have knowledge, you must have all three legs on this stool. You must believe something, have good reason or evidence for that belief, and what you believe must be true. If any of these things is missing or wobbly, you might not have any knowledge. For instance, if you believe the sun rises in the west, that's your belief. But it's not justified or true, so it doesn't qualify as knowledge. This understanding of knowledge, often called the justified true belief theory, helps us make sure we're not claiming to know things without good reason or when we're simply guessing. Philosophers have debated this concept and explored situations where it might not work perfectly, but it really is a useful way to think about what it means to truly know something. Nihilism. I know I covered this topic in the existential crisis iceberg, but just let's cover it anyways. Nihilism is a philosophical stance that delves into the profound questions about the nature of its existence, meaning, and values. At its core, nihilism asserts that life lacks inherent meaning or purpose. In the eyes of a nihilist, the universe operates without any concern for human existence, and there are no absolute, universal moral principles guiding our actions. This philosophical perspective can be challenging and even unsettling, as it suggests that all human endeavors, beliefs, and values are ultimately devoid of significance. One of the central tenets of nihilism is the belief in the absence of inherent meaning. According to this viewpoint, there is no grand purpose or cosmic plan governing our lives. Any sense of meaning or value that are attached with our experiences, relationships, or goals is considered a human construct, a product of our subjective interpretations and cultural conditioning. Nihilism also challenges the notion of absolute moral or ethical values. Instead, it asserts that concepts of right and wrong are not grounded in any objective reality, but are rather human inventions. This leads to a moral relativism, where individuals or societies may hold differing ethical beliefs without any of them being considered inherently correct or incorrect. Embracing nihilism can provoke feelings of existential despair. When individuals confront the idea that their pursuits and aspirations are ultimately inconsequential in the grand scheme of the universe, it can lead to a sense of hopelessness or disillusionment. Some people may grapple with questions about the purpose of life and the value of their actions. It's worth noting that nihilism is not a monotheistic or singular philosophy. There are various forms and interpretations of nihilism, ranging from more extreme and pessimistic views to more nuanced explorations of the concept. Some nihilists focus on specific aspects of life, such as the meaning of art, the role of religion, or the nature of reality. Prominent philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche engaged extensively with nihilistic themes. Nietzsche famously proclaimed God is dead to emphasize the diminishing influence of religious authority and traditional values in the modern world. He critiqued nihilism and sought ways to confront its consequences by advocating for the creation of new values and the affirmation of life. Even in the absence of traditional moral and religious frameworks in contemporary philosophy and cultural discourse, solipsism is a rather unusual and proactive philosophical standpoint that takes skepticism and subjectivity to the extreme. At its heart, solipsism is a belief or perspective that goes to great lengths to question the nature of existence and knowledge. It contends that the only certainty one can hold is the existence of their own self, their own mind, or their own consciousness. Everything else, the external world, other people, and even the reality beyond one's immediate perception, becomes subject to profound doubt and skepticism. In the realm of solipsism, the self is treated as the singular, unquestionable foundation of existence. It asserts that everything else may potentially be nothing more than a creation of one's own mind or even an elaborate illusion, which is kind of crazy to me. This means that the external world, as one might understand it, might be nothing more than a construction of one's own thoughts and perceptions. Solipsism further challenges the conventional notions of knowledge and understanding. It casts doubt on whether other individuals truly possess consciousness and self-awareness, or if they are merely extensions of one's own mental landscape. This extreme perspective leads to a profound sense of subjectivity, where one's own thoughts, feelings, and experiences become the only reliable points of reference in a seemingly uncertain world. Critics of solipsism often argue that it pushes skepticism to the unproductive extreme. By discounting the existence of an objective, external reality in the consciousness of others, solipsism can isolate individuals from shared human experiences and interactions. It can be seen as a philosophical exercise that highlights the challenges of radical doubt and the limitations of human knowledge rather than a practical or widely accepted worldview. Solipsism is typically employed within philosophical discussions as a means of exploring the boundaries of what can be known about the nature of reality. While it may serve as an intriguing thought experiment, it stands in stark contrast to common experiences in the shared reality that most people take for granted in their daily lives. Simulation theory. Simulation theory stands as a captivating and somewhat perplexing idea that beckons us to delve into profound questions about the very essence of our reality. At its core, this theory presents a daring proposition. The world we perceive as tangible and real, encompassing the physical universe, the myriad life forms within it, and even the fundamental laws of nature, may not be that objective. External reality we naturally assume to be. Instead, it suggests that what we regard as reality could be an extraordinary, sophisticated computer-generated simulation or virtual construct, akin to the artificial environments we encounter in video games or the meticulously crafted simulation devised by humans. Central to simulation theory is the intriguing notion that if a future civilization or an exponentially advanced entity were to possess the technological prowess to create outstanding, convincing simulations, they might engineer virtual worlds to intricately detailed and faithfully replicated that the inhabitants of these simulations, such as Earth themselves, would have no discernible way of distinguishing their existence from what we traditionally conceive as the, quote, real world. In essence, this implies that the simulated reality would be so flawlessly crafted that it would be indistinguishable from the external reality we perceive through our senses. This overarching concept carries profound philosophical implications that challenge some of our most fundamental assumptions about existence, consciousness, and the nature of reality itself. It leads us to ponder perplexing questions. What does it genuinely mean for something to be real if our entire experimental world could be a creation or as an advanced computing system? Do the familiar laws of physics and the natural principles that govern our daily lives extend to the confines of the simulated reality, or are they mere constructs within our simulation? How does the existence of such simulated world after our understanding of identity, consciousness, and the self? Simulation theory has gained prominence and sparked widespread discussion, in part due to the work of philosophers and scientists such as Nick Bostrom, who formulated the thought-provoking simulation argument. This argument posits that, based on certain assumptions, including the likelihood of technologically advanced civilizations creating sophisticated simulations and the motivation to do
The fuck?
so, it is statistically more probable that we are currently residing in a computer-generated simulation rather than base
I must have really bad internet right
reality. Nevertheless, it is vital to emphasize that simulation theory remains speculative and lacks concrete empirical verification.
Bro, I can't wait till I get my Ethernet cable.
It stands as a fertile ground for philosophical contemplation and serves as a captivating intellectual exercise that encourages us to reassess our comprehension of the nature of existence. I mean, I think this one might be one of my favorite because it's kind of crazy to think we're in a simulation and nothing is real around us. But comment what you think down below. Science makes philosophy redundant. The assertion that science makes philosophy redundant is a viewpoint that has been subject of ongoing discussion among scholars and thinkers for a considerable amount of time. To explore this perspective, it's crucial to understand both science and philosophy and their relationship to each other. Science is a systematic and empirical approach to comprehending the natural world. It relies on methods such as observation, experimentation, and the formulation of testable theories to explain and predict natural phenomena. The science includes fields such as physics, biology, chemistry, and astronomy, among others. And philosophy, in contrast, encompasses a broader range of inquiries. It deals with fundamental questions concerning reality, knowledge, existence, ethics, and the nature of the mind. Philosophy explores these inquiries through critical thinking, analysis, and contextual examination. It includes domains like metaphysics, ethics, and aesthetics, among others. Now let's delve into the idea that science makes philosophy redundant. One argument supporting that idea that science makes philosophy redundant is the empirical progress achieved by science. Science has made remarkable advancements in eluding the works of the natural world. Many questions that were previously within the purview of philosophy have been addressed by scientific inquiry. For example, inquiries into the structure of the cosmos and the origins of life have been elucidated by scientific investigation. Furthermore, science provides a rigorous framework for formulating and testing hypotheses and theories. This empirical approach is grounded in observation and experimentation, leading to tangible, verifiable knowledge. This sets it apart from philosophical speculation. The practical applications of scientific discoveries are readily apparent. Scientific research has led to technologies and innovations that have profoundly impacted society. Fields such as medicine, transportation, and communication have all benefited from scientific inquiry, underscoring the real-world significance of science. Counter-arguments to the idea that science makes philosophy redundant highlight the following points. Firstly, science itself resists on philosophical foundations. It relies on philosophical assumptions and principles, including the belief in an objective reality, the trustworthiness of our senses, and the value of empirical evidence. Consequently, science is extremely linked to the philosophical underpinnings. Secondly, there remain unanswered questions that fall within the domain of philosophy but elude the scope of scientific inquiry. These encompass philosophical inquiries into ethics, consciousness, metaphysics, and the nature of reality. For instance, science cannot provide definitive answers to questions about the meaning of life or the existence of moral principles. Lastly, there is significant overlap and intersection between science and philosophy, particularly in areas such as the philosophy of science, ethical considerations in scientific research, and the interpretation of scientific findings. These interdisciplinary intersections underscore the ongoing relevance of philosophical inquiry in the context of scientific endeavors. In summary, while science has undeniably made substantial progress in the world and our natural world in addressing empirical questions, it does not render philosophy entirely obsolete. Philosophy continues to explore the fundamental questions that science alone just cannot address fully, providing the conceptual and the ethical framework within which scientific inquiry operates. Both disciplines possess distinct yet complementary roles in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. God exists. And this might seem a little bit controversial, but I'll just try to stay as non-standing as possible. I'll just try to state facts and other things that I found on the web, on websites and stuff like that. So don't come at me if I say something that you don't like, because right after the century, it's going to be God doesn't exist. So just wait to hear both points. So God exists. The question of whether God exists has been a central and important theme in the realm of philosophy, captivating the minds of scholars, theologians, and thinkers across cultures and centuries. This inquiry has spurred the development of a wide array of philosophical arguments and positions, each attempting to grapple with the profound question of the divine. One of the prominent arguments that philosophers have put forth is the cosmological argument, which takes its starting point in the observation that everything that exists appears to have a cause or reason for its existence. From this premise, the argument proceeds to assert that since we clearly observe the existence of the universe itself, there must be a causal agent or the first cause responsible for initiating the universe's existence. This uncaused cause is frequently identified as God, possessing a necessary and transcendent entity that lies as the foundation of all that is. Another compelling argument is the theological argument, also referred to as the argument from design, pivots on the idea that the order, complexity, and an evident purpose we discern in the natural world suggests that the hand of a deliberate, intelligent designer. Advocates of this perspective point to the intricate workings of biological systems, the finely tuned constants in the universe, and the persuasive order in natural as indicative of a purposeful creator. In this context, God emerges as the source of design and intentionally in the cosmos. The ontological argument, in contrast, adopts a more abstract and philosophical approach to establish the existence of God. Rooted in the concept of God as the greatest conceivable being, this argument posits that if we can conceive of a being that possesses maximal perfection and greatness, then such a being must necessarily exist in reality. In essence, the mere idea of a supremely perfect being implies its existence, thereby asserting the existence of God. And along with this, the moral argument, yet another philosophical avenue, asserts that the existence of a moral values and duties implies the presence of a moral lawgiver or source of objective morality. It contends that in the absence of God, there would be no foundational basis for objective moral standards. Consequently, the existence of moral values is interpreted as evidence for the existence of a transcendent and moral God. While these philosophical arguments offer intriguing perspectives, it is essential to emphasize that they do not provide definitive proofs of God's existence. Instead, they have ingrained extensive debate, and philosophers and scholars offering various objections and counter-arguments. And the question of God's existence remains a matter of personal belief and philosophical exploration, with individuals arriving at distinct conclusions based on their unique perspectives and experiences. And it is important to acknowledge that there is a diverse array of philosophical positions on the matter, ranging from atheism, which posits that non-existence of God, to agnosticism, which holds that the existence of God is inherently unknowable, to theism, where it asserts a belief in the existence of a God, but not sure what God it is. In this rich tapestry of philosophical discourse, the question of God's existence continues to stimulate profound contemplation and reflection. And like I said, which was going to go along with this, God doesn't exist. This philosophical stance that says God doesn't exist is known as atheism. This worldview represents a position in which individuals do not hold a belief in the existence of deities or gods at all. It stands in contrast to theism, which is the belief in the existence of one or more divine beings. Atheism, as a philosophical perspective, is shaped by various factors and arguments that have evolved over a long time. Here we will explore some of the foundational principles and philosophical considerations that underlie atheism. Empirical and naturalistic outlook. Many atheists adopt an empirical and naturalistic approach to understanding the world. They emphasize the importance of relying on empirical evidence and reason when forming beliefs about reality. From this standpoint, the absence of empirical evidence from the existence of God or gods leads to the rejection of belief in a divine being. Problem of evil. The problem of evil is a central philosophical challenge raised by some atheists. It questions how the existence of suffering, pain, and injustice can be reconciled with the concept of an all-powerful, benevolent God. This theological puzzle has sparked extensive discussions in the philosophy of religion and ethics, prompting some to question the existence of such a deity. And burden of proof. Philosophical atheists often contend that the burden of proof lies with some making claims about the existence of God. In this view, if someone asserts the existence of a deity, they should provide compelling evidence or sound arguments to support their claim. In the absence of such evidence, atheism is seen as a rational default position. Occam's razor. This principle of Occam's razor, attributed to William of Ockham, suggests that one should not introduce unnecessary entities or assumptions when exploring phenomena. Some atheists apply this principle to argue that positioning the existence of God as an explanatory entity adds unnecessary complexity to our understanding of the world. Therefore, they advocate for simpler, naturalistic explanations. And religious diversity. The vast array of religious beliefs and gods across cultures throughout history can lead some atheists to adopt a skeptical stance. They may question why belief in one particular deity should be privileged over others, which can ultimately lead to an overall rejection of all claims of divine existence. Atheism is not a monotheistic or uniform belief system. It encompasses a spectrum of positions and perspectives. Some atheists may take a more agnostic stance, acknowledging the possibility of God's existence, but finding current arguments unconvincing overall. Others may assert more strongly that no God exists at all, hands down, aligning with strong atheism. Philosophical discussions surrounding the existence of God are intricate and multifaceted, engaging thinkers and scholars for centuries, and basically ever since humans started existing, they've been asking these questions. These discussions continue to evolve overall, and individuals arrive at the atheistic positions through a complex interplay of intellectual, ethical, and experiential considerations. The question of God's existence remains a profound and enduring topic in the realm of philosophy and theology.
Your capital and the buildings it contains are shown here.
Free speech is good. I mean, I think free speech is pretty good, but the free speech is good assertion and entry is a foundational principle deeply rooted in political philosophy and ethics. It represents a fundamental belief that individuals should have the inherent right to express their thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs without facing any censorship, repression, or the fear of retaliation. This principle is considered a bedrock of democratic societies and is celebrated for a multitude of compelling reasons that extend far beyond a mere list of arguments. At its core, the idea of free speech upholds the importance of individual autonomy. It recognizes the inherent capacity of each person to form their own thoughts, opinions, and convictions. It acknowledges that individuals have the right to make choices about what they wish to say, write, or communicate, reflecting a profound respect for personal agency. Furthermore, free speech is intimately tied to a concept of intellectual freedom. In societies that value open discourse, it is celebrated as a catalyst for intellectual growth and the pursuit of knowledge. It provides a fertile ground for the exchange of diverse ideas, fostering an environment where individuals can explore different perspectives and engage in constructive dialogue. It allows for the scrutiny of beliefs, the challenging of prevailing norms, and the reflection of errors through reasoned debate. In the realm of politics, free speech emerges as an essential pillar of democratic participation and civil engagement.
Sick. I need to figure out how to get it so that that doesn't happen. Alright. Time on the campaign map is some turns in turn button. So what the hell am I doing here? Oh shit, what's this nigga
The
doing?
enemy opt to attack your position, my lord. Ready your forces, for battle is upon you once more.
Oh shit.
It empowers citizens to voice their concerns, advocate for their interests, and hold governments accountable for their actions. Without the freedom to express dissent or criticize policies, the checks and balances essential to a functioning democracy would be compromised. However, free speech has historically played a pivotal role in driving societal progress. It serves as a vehicle for exposing injustices, promoting civil rights, and advocating for transformative change. Many significant social and civil rights movements have heavily relied on the power of free speech to advance their causes, challenge entrenched discrimination, and push for societal reform. Importantly, free speech is not merely a conduct for expression. It is also a potent tool for conflict resolution. In situations of disagreement or discord, it offers a peaceful and constructive means of finding common ground or seeking solutions. By engaging in open dialogue, individuals and groups can work together to reconciliation and understanding, thereby mitigating the potential for violence or suppression. Additionally, free speech acts as a safeguard against authoritarianism and tyranny. It stands as a formidable check on government powers by enabling criticism, dissent, and public scrutiny for governmental actions. In this way, it reinforces democratic accountability and helps prevent abuses of authority. Ultimately, the assertion that free speech is good is grounded in a deep respect for human dignity. It acknowledges the intrinsic worth and agency of individuals, recognizing their capacity to express themselves freely and make meaningful contributions to society. It affirms that the principle of a society that values diversity of thought, open discourse, and individual expression is one that is more likely to foster innovation, inclusivity, and progress.
I just did.
Democracy is good. Democracy is good is deeply rooted in a political philosophy in governance. It represents the belief that democratic systems of government possess inherent virtues and are preferable to alternative forms of governments. As its core, this belief is grounded in the principle of individual autonomy. Like I said earlier, democracy upholds the idea that every citizen has the right to participate in shaping the decisions that affect their lives. It places a high value on personal freedom and self-determination, viewing active participation in the democratic progress as means of upholding these principles. Another foundational element of democracy is the principle of equality. It asserts that every citizen, regardless of their background, wealth, or social status, has an equal voice and vote in determining the direction of their society. This commitment to the political equality is seen as essential for this governance. Democracy also relies on the concept of representation, where elected officials represent the interests and will of the people. It provides a mechanism for individuals to delegate decision-making authority while holding representatives accountable for their actions. This balance between representation and accountability is seen as a way to ensure responsive governance. Legitimately in the government is closely associated with democracy. It suggests that a government's authority derives from the consent of the governed. In democratic systems, leaders are elected through fair and transparent processes, reinforcing the legitimacy of their rule. Additionally, democracy includes mechanisms to safeguard the rights of minorities. It recognizes that the majority should not have unchecked power and that minority rights should also be protected. Constitutional safeguards and the rule of law play crucial roles in ensuring the protection of these rights. Democracy is also known for its commitment to the peaceful transition of power. Through elections and term limits, it provides a peaceful and orderly way to change leadership without resulting to violence or upheaval. Contributing to political stability, transparency and accountability are core principles in democratic systems. Public officials are held accountable for their actions, and government operations are subject to scrutiny by the public and the media. This transparency is seen as a means of preventing corruption and abuse of power. Democracy can foster social cohesion by providing a platform for dialogue and consensus building among diverse groups. It offers a mechanism for resolving conflicts and accommodating different interests through negotiation and compromise. Finally, some argue that democratic governance correlates with human development indicators such as education, healthcare, and economic well-being. This participatory nature of democracy can lead to policies that prioritize the well-being and development of the citizens. And overall, I think democracy is pretty cool. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Modern Stoicism, and I'm not talking about the kids on TikTok who make the Sigma edits calling themselves Stoic, but this one is more of a philosophical movement that draws inspiration from the ancient Stoic philosophy of Greece and Rome while applying its principles to contemporary life. Stoicism, which originated in the Hellenistic period, teaches a practical philosophy focused on personal virtue, wisdom, and emotional resilience. Modern Stoicism seeks to adapt these ancient teachings to address the challenges and complexities of the modern world. At its core, modern Stoicism emphasizes that the highest good is virtue. Practitioners aim to cultivate virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline in their daily lives. The ethical framework of Stoicism remains central in modern Stoicism, encouraging individuals to act in accordance with reason and moral principles, regardless of external circumstances. One of the distinctive aspects of modern Stoicism is the practical application of Stoic principles to daily life. It provides tools and strategies to handle stress, anxiety, and life's difficulties while maintaining inner tranquility. This emphasis on emotional resilience and the ability to cope with adversity is a hallmark of Stoicism, both ancient and modern. Modern Stoicism also encourages acceptance of the external world and the recognition that some things are beyond our control. Practitioners are taught to focus their efforts and attention on what they can influence, namely their own thoughts, actions, and judgments, and not the world around them, really. This acceptance of the external world aligns with Stoic teachings on the nature of reality, incorporating elements of mindfulness and self-awareness. Modern Stoicism focuses on a deeper understanding on one's thoughts, emotions, and reactions. This self-awareness helps individuals make more deliberate and rational choices in alignment with Stoic principles. Modern Stoicism often prompts the idea of learning and practicing Stoicism in a community. Online forums, courses, workshops, and books serve as a resource for individuals interested in studying and applying Stoic principles. The community aspect allows for mutual support and shared insights. Many practitioners of modern Stoicism also integrate Stoic principles with other philosophical and ethical frameworks, recognizing that philosophy is a versatile tool for understanding and navigating life's challenges. They may draw from contemporary psychologically, mindfulness practices, or other philosophies to create a personalized approach to living in accordance with Stoic values. In summary, modern Stoicism is a contemporary revival of ancient Stoic philosophy. And at the beginning when I was talking about TikTok kids, I think Stoicism is a great way to live your life. It makes everything more enjoyable, and I think it makes you focus on yourself more, especially getting anxiety and depression down and things like that. But don't be that kid on TikTok saying you're Stoic for being Patrick Bateman.
Bro, I literally am Patrick Bateman now.
And now on to tier 2. And yes, that was all just tier 1 right there. So the first 30 minutes of this video is all tier 1, and now on to tier 2. I told you this was going to be a long video and I was going to go in depth in each one, and let me know what you guys think. And if you're still watching, subscribe and like the video. It helps a ton. And starting off tier 2 is absurdism. Absurdism is a philosophical perspective that delves into the fundamental questions of existence and meaning in a world that, from its viewpoint, lacks inherent purpose. Originating from the works of the philosopher and writer Albert Camus, absurdism asserts that life is essentially devoid of any overarching significance or plan. It shows that the universe is indifferent to human existence, providing no intrinsic purpose or grand design to our overall life. Central to absurdism is the notion of the absurd. This concept encapsulates the profound conflict between human beings' innate desire to discover meaning and the apparent pointlessness of their existence in the universe as a whole. It manifests as a sense of bewilderment, frustration, and even despair, stemming from the inability to uncover any ultimate purpose. In response to the absurdity of existence, Camus suggests the idea of rebellion. Rather than succumbing to nihilism or seeking solace in religious or ideological certainties, individuals are encouraged to embrace their freedom as a whole. This entails living authentically and making choices in defiance of the absurd. It involves recognizing the lack of intrinsic meaning in life while still engaging in and actively and forging one's own personal meaning through actions and choices. A notable work associated with absurdism is Camus's essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, in which he employs the Greek myth of Sisyphus as the metaphor for the human conditioner. Sisyphus is condemned to eternally roll a boulder up a hill, a task that appears utterly futile. Camus argues that despite the inherent absurdity of Sisyphus' predicament, he can find contentment and purpose in the act of rebelling against his seemingly pointless task.
Yeah, Albert Camus, yeah, he was the one who wrote.
Existentialism is a philosophical and literary movement that emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries, primarily in Europe. It centers around the individual's experience of existence and grapples with the challenges and questions that arise from living in a world that seems indifferent or even absurd. At its core, existentialism argues that each person's existence is unique and meaningful, but this meaning isn't predetermined or inherent. Instead, individuals create their own purpose and identity through their choices and different actions. Unlike objects with fixed natures, humans exist first and then determine their essence through their decisions. This philosophy places a strong emphasis on human freedom and the responsibility that comes with it. Existentialists believe that the individuals have the freedom to choose their own values, beliefs, and actions. However, this freedom is accompanied by a sense of anxiety because it means facing the uncertainty and ambiguity of existence. Existentialism also explores the idea of authenticity, encouraging individuals to live in accordance with their true selves and values rather than conforming to external expectations. It urges people to take responsibility for their choices and embrace their individuality.
What about the fate of those captured in battle? It can be beneficial to hold them, but sometimes leniency or brutality can be worth more.
Furthermore, existential sometimes highlights the absurdity of life, emphasizing that existence can seem irrational or even chaotic. This notion of absurdity challenges individuals to find meaning in a world that may appear meaningless. Alienation and isolation are common themes in existential literature, as individuals often feel disconnected from others or estranged from society due to their unique perspectives and different struggles. Prominent existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, Friedrich Nietzsche, Soren Kierkegaard, and Martin Heidegger have contributed diverse perspectives into this philosophical movement. And by the way, I totally knew I butchered those names very badly, but I don't really have the time inside this script to find and know how to pronounce each one. So please forgive me. And each exploring questions
What is going on with my life?
related to human existence, freedom, and the search for meaning in a
It's so lagged, bro. Fuck this.
seemingly indifferent universe. Marxism. Marxism is a comprehensive social and political theory that emerged in the 19th century, largely associated with the work of Karl Marx.
Execute? Should I execute the captives?
In Frederick Engels, it offers a critical perspective.
Ransom captives. Which one should I do? I kind of want to execute them.
On the structure of society and the dynamics of economics.
Or force them into labor. That one sounds good. I don't know. The forced labor sounds like it's going to be the best for me.
Systems with a primarily focused on capitalism. Central to Marxism is the concept of class struggle. It sees society as divided into two main classes: the bourgeoisie, who owns and controls the bourgeoisie and the means of production, factories, land, and resources, and the proletariat, the working class, who sell their labor to the bourgeoisie. I totally know I mispronounced those as well, so please forgive me. Marxism argues that these classes have inherently conflicting interests, leading to ongoing struggles for power and different resources. Marxism also introduces the idea of historical materialism, which suggests that the development of societies is predominantly shaped by economic factors. Changes in the mode of production, how goods and services are produced and distributed, are seen as the driving force behind historical progress. A critical aspect of Marxism is the critique of capitalism. It contends that capitalism is fundamentally exploitative because it allows capitalists to profit by extracting surplus value from the labor of the working class. This surplus value, it argues, is the source of profits for capitalists and leads to economic inequality. Marxism envisions a transformation from capitalism to communism, where class distinctions and private ownership of the means of the production would be completely eliminated. In this communist society, resources would be collectively owned, and the principle of from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs, would prevail. Marxism has a profound impact on political and social thought, inspiring various social movements and political ideologies. And personally, I don't know how I feel about communism and how it goes against capitalism and stuff like that, so let me know what you guys think below.
One thing Purdue Global has helped me with is having the flexibility to go to school full-time as well as work full-time and not have to do one or the other. This is my comeback. Start yours at purdueglobal.edu.
What the hell am I supposed to do? I'm so confused.
I am the heir of an Aryan.
Humanism. Humanism is a philosophical and ethical perspective that places a strong emphasis on the intrinsic value and dignity of human beings. It celebrates the unique qualities that set humans apart, such as reason, creativity, and moral agency. At its core, humanism advocates for recognizing the worth of each individual simply because they are human. This recognition is the foundation for principles such as human dignity, freedom, and individual rights. Humanists value reason and critical thinking as essential tools for understanding the world and making ethical decisions. They believe in evidence-based inquiry, science, and education as means to achieve and deeper understanding of the human experience. While humanism does not prescribe a specific moral or religious doctrine, it encourages the development of ethical principles based on reason and empathy. Commonly promoted values include compassion, justice, and human rights. Secularism, often associated with humanism, calls for the separation from religion and state. Humanists support the idea that public policy should be based on secular, non-religious reasoning, ensuring fairness and equality for all. In addition, humanism embraces tolerance and pluralism. It respects diverse cultural, religious, and philosophical perspectives, fostering open dialogue and cooperation among people with different beliefs. Cogito ergo sum is a famous philosophical statement attributed to René Descartes. In Latin, it translates to I think, therefore I am. This simple yet profound declaration encapsulates a foundational idea in Descartes' philosophy. Descartes was a 17th century philosopher and mathematician who sought to establish a firm foundation for knowledge. he embarked on a quest for certainty, questioning everything he believed to be true. In this process, he arrived at the realization that while he could doubt nearly everything, including the existence of this external world, other people, or even the existence of God, he could not doubt the existence of himself as a thinking being. This cogito statement underscores the certainty of one's own existence as a thinking, doubting, and conscious being. Descartes argued that even if he were deceived by an evil demon into doubting everything, he could not doubt the fact that he was doubting, which is just kind of crazy to me, and it kind of makes sense. But it implied thinking and existing. Therefore, the act of thinking itself was undeniable proof of his existence. This statement laid the groundwork for Descartes' epistemology, and otherwise known as the theory of knowledge, and his methodological doubt. It became a foundational point upon which he could build his system of knowledge, as he believed that clear and distinct ideas, formed through reason and careful analysis, could serve as a basis for certain and indubitable knowledge. Cogito ergo sum remains a widely studied and discussed philosophical concept, emphasizing the certainty of self-awareness and rational thought in the quest for certainty and knowledge. Causation isn't empirical. The idea that causation isn't purely empirical suggests that the relationship between cause and effect goes beyond simple observation and measurement. Instead, it implies that causation involves more than just seeing one event followed by another. The perspective challenges the notion that we could fully understand causation through empirical means alone. In many philosophical discussions, the concept of causation is complex and goes beyond what we can directly observe. It involves questions about the nature of causation, such as whether causation is necessarily a connection between events or merely a regular association. Philosophers have debated whether we can truly grasp the essence of causation through empirical evidence or whether it remains a metaphysical or conceptual concept. Some argue that causation is a fundamental aspect of the universe, while others contend that it's a human construct used to make sense of patterns in our observations. This debate touches on issues related to determinism.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Yeah, I will. Alright. Now, click this
Protector of the Everqueen.
There we go.
The city has been reached, and your warriors are prepared for battle, mighty
Oh,
lord.
I could fuck these guys
Study
up
your
for sure.
options, nevertheless. Encircling the enemy and starving them out may be the wisest course of action.
Encircle.
Seal. There is glory to be won.
Alright, what am I supposed to do after I encircle them?
Alario.
You know what? I want to attack them. I want to fight them. This encircling them thing sounds gay.
Free will in the limits of human knowledge. In summary, the statement causation isn't empirical suggests that understanding causation involves more than just observing events. It involves deeper philosophical questions about the nature and meaning of causation itself. Pessimism. Pessimism is a philosophical outlook or attitude characterized by a generally negative or pessimistic view of life and world. People who adopt a pessimistic perspective tend to focus on the negative aspects of situations, expect unfavorable outcomes, and may have a bleak view of the future. Pessimism can be applied to various aspects of life, including personal circumstances, society, or the human condition as a whole. Pessimism often arises from a belief that suffering, problems, and disappointments are pervasive and inevitable aspects of existence. It can be influenced by factors such as past experiences, cultural or societal influences, and personal temperament. It's worth noting that pessimism is a broad term and can manifest in different ways, ranging from mild pessimism, where individuals tend to see the glass as half empty, to more extreme forms like existential pessimism, where people may question the meaning and purpose of life in a seemingly indifferent or even hostile universe. Pessimism should be distinguished from realism, which involves a balanced and objective assessment of situations, acknowledging both positive and negative aspects. Pessimism tends to skew towards a more negative and often unbalanced perspective, while pessimism can sometimes serve as a protective mechanism by preparing individuals for potential challenges. An excessively pessimistic outlook can also have detrimental effects on mental health and overall well-being. Many people seek to find a balance between acknowledging life's difficulties and maintaining hope and optimism for a better future.
Dr. Drew and my wife Susan here, we want to show you something.
You've probably seen this guy all over your feed claiming the cutting card.
Is that the same Dr. Drew from
Optimism. Now going along with pessimism, optimism. Optimism is a philosophical outlook or attitude characterized by a generally positive or hopeful view on life and the world. Just completely the opposite of pessimism. People who adopt an optimistic perspective tend to focus on the positive aspects of situations. They expect favorable outcomes and maintain a bright view of the future. Optimism can be applied to various aspects of life, including personal circumstances, societal progress, or the human condition as a whole. Optimists often believe that challenges and setbacks are temporary and insurmountable. They tend to see opportunities and difficulties and maintain a sense of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Optimism can be influenced by factors such as positive past experiences, supportive social networks, a generally positive outlook on life, and personal temperament. It's important to note that while optimism is generally associated with positive thinking, it should not be confused with unrealistic or naive optimism, where individuals ignore potential problems or challenges. Realistic optimism involves a balanced assessment of situations while maintaining a hopeful and positive attitude. Optimism is often linked to better mental and physical health outcomes, as it can lead to reduced stress, improved coping strategies, and a generally higher quality of life. Many people
right.
aim to cultivate and maintain an optimistic outlook as a way to enhance their well-being and resilience in the face of life's ups and downs. Mind and body dualism. Mind and body dualism is a philosophical concept that suggests the existence of two distinct and separate entities within a person, the mind and the body. According to this idea, the mind represents the non-physical or mental aspect of a person, which includes thoughts, consciousness, and emotions. In contrast, the body encompasses the physical aspect, of course, including the brain and the rest of the physical body. The key notion in mind-body dualism is that these two components, the mind and the body, are fundamentally different in nature. The mind is immaterial and lacks a physical presence, while the body consists of physical substances and is subject to the laws of physics and biology. This perspective challenges the idea that all mental processes can be explained purely in terms of physical processes, a viewpoint known as philosophism or materialism. Instead, mind-body dualism asserts that mental and physical phenomena are separate and cannot be reduced to one another. René Descartes, a renowned philosopher from the 17th century, and he's had an entry back in here, and I'm not sure if you'll have another one, I don't remember, but is often associated with mind-body dualism. He famously expressed his certainty of the existence of the thinking mind with the phrase cogito ergo sum, as I went over earlier, I think therefore I am, emphasizing the distinction between the mental and the physical. However, mind-body dualism has faced criticism and challenges over the years, particularly concerning the problem of how these two distinct substances, the mind and the body, interact with each other. This question remains a topic of ongoing philosophical debate and inquiry. Contemporary philosophy and science often explore alternative approaches, such as various forms of monism, to understand the relationship between mental health and physical states. Deontological ethics is a moral theory that emphasizes the importance of following moral rules, principles, or duties when making ethical decisions. It's often associated with philosophers like Immanuel Kant. At its core, deontological ethics is without acting in accordance with a set of moral rules or principles, regardless of the consequences. This stands in contrast to consequentialist ethics, which assesses that morality of an action based on its outcomes. One key concept in deontological ethics is the idea of moral duties or obligations. These duties are seen as universal and binding, meaning they apply to everyone in all situations. Kant's famous principle, the categorical imperative, illustrates this idea. It states that we should only act in accordance to maximum personal principles, that we can understand the universal law. Another important aspect of deontological ethics is the idea of moral autonomy. It emphasizes individuals as moral agents who have the rational capacity to make moral choices based on reason and the universal principles. This contrasts with moral theories that rely on external authorities or consequences to determine what's right. Deontological ethics provides a clear framework for ethical decision-making, but can sometimes lead to moral dilemmas where following one moral duty may conflict with another. In such cases, determining which duty takes precedence can be challenging. Overall, deontological ethics is a significant approach in moral philosophy that centers on the importance of adhering to moral principles and duties regardless of the consequences. It offers a structured and principled way to navigate complex ethical questions.
The puppets of the Witch King must be driven out, and the treasures
Aesthetics, and I'm not talking about Pinterest aesthetics, but this is talking about the philosophical field that explores the nature of beauty, art, and our experiences of the aesthetic realm. It delves into questions about what makes something beautiful, how we perceive beauty, and why we are drawn to art and other aesthetic experiences. Aesthetics encompass a wide range of topics, including the philosophy of art, the philosophy of beauty, and the philosophy of taste. It raises questions about the nature of beauty itself. Is it an objective quality inherent to certain objects, or is it a subjective experience that varies from person to person? Philosophers of aesthetics often examine the concept of art, seeking to understand what distinguishes art from non-art. They explore the role of form, intention, and the impact of art on its audience in defining what qualifies as art. Additionally, aesthetics delves into the subjective experiences of beauty and art. It explores questions related to aesthetic pleasure, emotional response to art, and the role of perception and imagination in shaping our aesthetic encounters. Aesthetics extends into the realm of aesthetic judgment and taste, examining why people have different preferences in art and beauty. Philosophers in the field consider whether aesthetic judgments can be considered objective or if they are purely subjective. Furthermore, aesthetics involves the critical analysis and interpretation of art and aesthetic works. It seems to understand how we evaluate and interpret artworks and the criteria that should be applied in these assessments. Beyond the realm of art and beauty, aesthetics can also touch on ethical and societal implications. For instance, it may explore the relationship between art and morality, or investigate how aesthetic values influence cultural and societal norms. Overall, aesthetics enriches our understanding of beauty, art, and the aesthetic dimensions of life. It deepens our appreciation of the arts and helps us contemplate the role of aesthetics in our daily experiences.
If you live in Montana, you could lower your electric bill to less than $30 a month. How? First,
fuck off, bitch.
Anti-natalism is a philosophical perspective that raises ethical questions about procreation and the act of bringing new human lives into existence. It challenges the moral implications of reproduction and often argues that it may be better not to have children. At its core, anti-natalism is driven by several key ideas. One of the central concerns of anti-natalism is the notion of suffering and ethics. It posits that life inherently involves suffering, whether physically, emotional, or existential. Proponents argue that it may be morally problematic to subject potential individuals in this inevitable suffering, particularly when they have no say in their creation. Environmental concerns also play a role in anti-natalist thought. Some anti-natalists explore worries about overpopulation and its impact on the environment and finite resources. They contend that limiting population growth through non-reproduction can address these issues. Existential pessimism is often philosophical underpinning of anti-natalism. Philosophers like Arthur and Schopenhauer have argued that life is full of suffering and that bringing new life into the world only perpetuates this suffering. This perspective questions the overall value and meaning of human existence. The concept of consent and autonomy is essential in anti-natalism. It emphasizes the absence of consent in birth, arguing that individuals cannot provide informed consent to exist before being born. This raises ethical concerns about imposing existence onto others without their consent. Additionally, anti-natalists may highlight the potential for child suffering due to factors such as illness, poverty, or violence. They contend that it is morally responsible to avoid subjecting potential individuals to such a risk. It's important to note that anti-natalism is a controversial and debated perspective. Critics argue that it overlooks the potential for happiness and positive experiences in life and may lead to societal consequences such as democratic decline. Furthermore, anti-natalism varies in its extremity, with some advocating for no reproduction at all and others promoting limited or responsible reproduction. Overall, anti-natalism engages with profound questions about the ethics of bringing new life into the world and continues to spark philosophical, ethical, and societal discussions. Ancient Stoicism. Ancient Stoicism originated in Greece and flourishing during the Hellenistic period in the Roman Empire, represents a significant philosophical school of thought. It offers a comprehensive framework for individuals seeking wisdom, virtue, and tranquility in their lives. At its core, Stoicism places virtue at the pinnacle of human values. Virtue encompasses qualities like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. The Stoics believe that living in accordance with these values leads to a flourishing life. Stoicism's foundation lies in the concept of aligning one's actions with the rational order of the universe, often referred to as nature or logos. This involves accepting the natural course of events and embracing what cannot be changed. Key to Stoic philosophy is the notion of personal agency and control. Stoics assert that individuals have control over their own character, choices, and reactions to external circumstances, even when they lack control over these external events. Stoicism advocates for indifference to external goods, such as wealth or fame, emphasizing that true contentment arises from cultivating internal virtues and pursuing wisdom. However, Stoicism teaches the acceptance of life's challenges and hardships. It posits that suffering results from misjudgments and attachments to external things. Though rational reflection and understanding, one can attain inner serenity and resilience. Stoicism isn't confined to theoretical musings. It encourages practical exercises to develop virtues and character. These exercises may involve self-examination, journaling, and contemplation of one's values. Prominent Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius left a legacy of writings and teachings that continue to aspire and offer practical wisdom. Their insights on rationality, virtue, and inner peace remain relevant in navigating the complexities of modern life, fostering personal growth and striving for well-being. Ancient Stoicism thus serves as a timeless guide for living a virtuous and fulfilling life.
Here we have an average Joe drinking an average Joe.
Yeah, that checks out.
Boring base.
Giedier causes. Giedier causes are a set of thought experiments in the field of epistemology, which is concerned with the nature of knowledge. These cases were introduced by philosopher Edmund Giedier in a 1963 paper titled, "Is Justified True Belief Knowledge?" The fundamental challenge that Giedier causes pose is the traditional definition of knowledge. In traditional epistemology, knowledge was commonly defined as justified true belief. This definition holds that for something to qualify as knowledge, three conditions must be met. The individual must believe it, it must be true, there must be a good reasons or justification for believing it. Giedier's innovation was to present scenarios in which an individual possesses a belief that is both justified and true, yet it doesn't seem to constitute genuine knowledge due to factors like luck or accidental circumstances. For instance, one of Giedier's famous cases involves a person named Smith who has a strong evidence that his colleague Jones will get a job and also have good evidence that Jones owns a Ford car. Smith forms the belief that the person who will get the job owns a Ford. In a twist, Jones doesn't get the job, but another colleague named Brown, whom Smith had no information about, owns a Ford and gets the job. In this case, Smith's belief happened to be true, and he had good reason for it, but it doesn't appear to represent genuine knowledge because it relied on a coincidental connection between Brown and the ownership of a Ford. Giedier's causes have been a profound impact on the field of epistemology. They have prompted philosophers to reevaluate the traditional JTB definition of knowledge and to seek more refined and nuanced theories of knowledge. These cases emphasize the intricacy of knowledge and the need for more comprehensive understanding of what true constitutes knowledge. Plato was right about democracy. The assertion that Plato was right about democracy is a subject of debate and of interpretation. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, held complex views on democracy, which have had lasting impact on political philosophy. However, his perspective was shaped by the unique context of ancient Athens, and his views on democracy need to be considered within the historical framework. Plato's criticism of democracies are well documented. He expressed concerns about the potential for democracy to devolve into mob rule, where uninformed masses might make irrational decisions. He also worried about the instability of democracies and the susceptibility of citizens to the influence of charismatic but unwise leaders. Plato argued for a hierarchical society led by philosophical kings who would rule with wisdom and prioritize the pursuit of truth, virtue, and the common good. However, it's important to note that the democracy Plato critiqued was the Athenian direct democracy, quite different from the modern representative democracies. In Athens, citizens had a direct participation in decision-making, while in contemporary democracies, elected representatives might make decisions on behalf of the people. The history of political philosophy is marked by diverse viewpoints on democracy. While Plato was critical on it, other philosophers like John Locke and John Stuart Mill defended democracy as a means of safeguarding individual rights and promoting the common good. However, the concept of democracy has evolved over time, resulting in various forms of democratic governance, each with its own strengths and different weaknesses. These variations address some of the concerns Plato had about the potential pitfalls of democracy. In contemporary discussions, whether Plato was right about democracy depends on one's perspective in the specific context being examined. While his criticisms of democracy remain influential, democratic systems have adapted and developed mechanisms to address many of these concerns. Ongoing debates in political philosophy continue to explore the merits and drawbacks of democracy and its various forms of practice. The world of forms. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, introduced a profound concept known as the world of forms. In his philosophical dialogues, this concept represented a fundamental aspect of his metaphysical and epistemological framework. According to Plato, the world of forms is a realm of existence that is distinct from the physical world we perceive with our senses. In this transcendent realm, there exist perfect and unchanging abstract entities or forms. These forms are the ultimate reality and serve as the true ideals or essence of concepts like justice, beauty, equality, and truth. Plato believed that the physical world we encounter through our senses is characterized by imperfection, change, and transcendence. In the world of shadows and reflections, where we can only grasp imperfect copies of the true forms, for example, when we perceive something as beautiful in the physical world, it is because we have an innate understanding of the form of beauty in the world of forms. In Plato's view, the pursuit of knowledge is fundamentally about accessing and contemplating these forms in the world of forms. True knowledge, or episteme, is derived from an understanding of these perfect and unchanging realities. This perspective led him to criticize empirical approaches to knowledge, which rely on sensory perception and can often be deceptive. One of the most famous allegories in philosophy, Plato's allegory of the cave, vividly illustrates the contrast between the material world and the world of forms. In this allegory, prisoners in a cave are chained to a face of a wall and can only see the shadows of objects passing behind them. These shadows represent the illusions of the material world. To attain true knowledge, the prisoners must break free from the constraints, turn away from the shadows, and ascend to the outside world, symbolizing the journey toward understanding the forms. Plato's concept of the world of forms has left an indelible mark on the world of philosophy. It has influenced discussions on metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, aesthetics, and the nature of reality. While it has faced criticism and alternative interpretations over the centuries, it remains a foundational and thought-provoking aspect of Plato's philosophical legacy.
Heal these niggas.
YouTube is the new home of NFL Sunday Ticket. Watch all your favorite NFL teams' out-of-market Sunday afternoon games all season long.
Jordan Peterson on postmodernism. Jordan B. Peterson, a Canadian clinical psychologist and professor, has offered criticisms of what he sees as the influence of postmodernism in academia and society. His views on postmodernism are a part of a broader conversation about its impact. Peterson criticized postmodernism for promoting skepticism about objective truth. He argues that it reflects the possibility of objective knowledge and truth, which he sees as potentially harmful to our ability to communicate and make moral judgments. However, Peterson is concerned that postmodernism's rejection of grand narratives and its emphasis on the cultural relativism may undermine the idea of shared values and ethics, potentially leading to a moral and cultural relativism. He associates postmodernism with identity politics, which he believes is divides and focuses on group identity at the expense of individual identity. Peterson argues that postmodernism has contributed to the rise of identity politics through concepts like intersectionality. In addition, Peterson is a vocal advocate for freedom of speech and has criticized what he perceives as attempts to curtail free speech through political correctness. He believes that postmodernist ideas have contributed to an environment where certain speech is seen as offensive and should be restricted. One of Peterson's notable moments of opposition was his stance on Canadian Bill C-16, which added gender identity or expression as a prohibited ground of discrimination. He argued that this legislation could compel speech by requiring the use of specific gender pronouns, potentially infringing on free speech rights. Overall, Peterson believes that postmodernist ideas have contributed to various social and political issues, including the erosion of individual rights, the growth of identity politics, and the polarization of public discourse. His views have generated both support and criticism, reflecting broader discussions about the role of postmodernism in contemporary society and its implications for issues such as free speech, identity, and social justice.
Construct. What should I construct?
Alright,
here?
now on to tier 3, starting off with Plato had no beliefs, it was all Socrates. The relationship between Plato and Socrates is a complex and debated topic in the history of philosophy. Both figures are foundational to the Western philosophical tradition, but they have distinct roles and contributions. Socrates was a historical figure who lived in Athens during the 5th century BCE. He is known primarily through the accounts of his students, primarily Plato. Socrates engaged in philosophical dialogues with various individuals in Athens, exploring questions related to ethics, knowledge, and the nature of good in life. He did not believe behind written works. Instead, his ideas were transmitted through the writings of his followers, particularly Plato. Plato, on the other hand, was a student of Socrates and went on to become a philosopher and writer in his own right. He wrote numerous dialogues in which Socrates is the central character. In these dialogues, Plato used Socrates as a fictional character to explore a wide range of philosophical ideas, including those related to ethics, metaphysics, epistemology, and politics. It is important to recognize that while Socrates is the central figure in many of Plato's dialogues, the ideas and arguments presented in these dialogues may not necessarily reflect Socrates' historical views. Plato's dialogues are a blend of his own philosophical ideas and the character of Socrates as a tool for philosophical exploration. Scholars continue to debate the extent in which Socrates' beliefs are accurately represented in Plato's writings. In summary, Socrates and Plato are distinct figures in the history of philosophy. Socrates was a historical philosopher, while Plato was a student and a philosopher in his own right. Plato used Socrates as a character in his dialogues to convey a wide range of philosophical ideas, but the extent to which these ideas align with the historical Socrates' belief is a matter of scholarly debate. Schopenhauer will. The core concept in the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer is the will, while in German, often referred to as the will to live or simply the will. This concept lies at the heart of Schopenhauer's philosophical system and plays a foundational role in his understanding of the nature of existence. Schopenhauer posited that will as a fundamental metaphysics principle that underlies the entire universe. According to his philosophy, the will is the inner essence or driving force behind all things, both living and non-living. It represents a primal, instinctual, and irrational force, devoid of conscious intent. The will is characterized by a ceaseless striving, a relentless desiring, and a continuous pursuit of satisfaction and fulfillment. One of the key insights of Schopenhauer's philosophy is the connection between the will and the human suffering. He argued that much of human existence is marked by suffering and unfulfilled desires, and he attributed this suffering to the ceaselessness, striving, and craving inherent to the will. For Schopenhauer, desire itself is the source of suffering, as it perpetrates an unending cycle of longing and dissatisfaction. In response to the persuasive suffering he observed in the human condition, Schopenhauer proposed a path to salvation or relief. He believed that individuals can transcend their suffering by transcending their individual desires and ego. This transcendence could be achieved through various means, including aesthetic contemplation, asceticism, and a form of compassion for all living things. By recognizing the shared experience of suffering among all living creatures, individuals could cultivate a compassionate and empathetic attitude, thus finding a path toward inner peace and spiritual fulfillment. Schopenhauer's philosophy, with its emphasis on the will, had a profound impact on later philosophers. It included Friedrich Nietzsche, who was initially inspired by Schopenhauer's idea but later developed his own philosophy that diverged significantly from Schopenhauer's pessimism. Schopenhauer's exploration of the human condition, the nature of desire, and the quest for transcendence continues to be a subject of philosophical discussion and debates. The pleasure principle is a foundational concept in psychoanalytic theory, particularly associated with the work of Sigmund Freud. It represents a fundamental aspect of human motivation and behavior within Freud's psychoanalytic framework. At its core, the pleasure principle posits that human behavior and decision-making are fundamentally driven by the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. This principle suggests that individuals are naturally inclined to seek gratification and pleasure, while simultaneously striving to minimize or eliminate discomfort and displeasure in their lives. One key feature of the pleasure principle is the emphasis on immediate gratification. According to Freud, when individuals experience a desire or encounter a source of pleasure, there's a natural and instinctive impulsive to satisfy that desire as quickly as possible.
Their demands or offer military access. Can I decline it? Balance of power. So I have a lot more power than these guys. Why is this video
possible? This drive for immediate pleasure often takes precedence over
Wait.
in a continuous pursuit of satisfaction and fulfillment. One of the key insights of Schopenhauer's philosophy is the connection between the will and the human suffering. He argued that much of human existence is marked by suffering and
military alliance. Actually, no. Why is this video?
Unfulfilled desires, and he attributed this suffering to the ceaselessness, striving, and craving inherent to the will. For Schopenhauer,
Bro, this is pissing me off.
Desire itself is the source of suffering, as it perpetuates an unending cycle of longing and dissatisfaction. In response to the persuasive suffering he observed in the human condition, Schopenhauer proposed
Reject their offer.
A path to salvation or relief. He believed that individuals can transcend their suffering by transcending their individual desires and ego. This transcendence could be achieved through various means, including aesthetic contemplation, asceticism, and a form of compassion for all living things. By recognizing the shared experience of suffering among all living creatures, individuals could cultivate a compassionate and empathetic attitude, thus finding a path toward inner peace and spiritual fulfillment. Schopenhauer's philosophy, with its emphasis on the will, had a profound impact on later philosophers. It included Friedrich Nietzsche, who was initially inspired by Schopenhauer's idea but later developed his own philosophy that diverged significantly from Schopenhauer's pessimism. Schopenhauer's exploration of the human condition, the nature of desire, and the quest for transcendence continues to be a subject of philosophical discussion and debates. The pleasure principle is a foundational concept in psychoanalytic theory, particularly associated with the work of Sigmund Freud. It represents a fundamental aspect of human motivation and behavior within Freud's psychoanalytic framework. At its core, the pleasure principle posits that human behavior and decision-making are fundamentally driven by the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. This principle suggests that individuals are naturally inclined to seek gratification and pleasure while simultaneously striving to minimize or eliminate discomfort and displeasure in their lives. One key feature of the pleasure principle is the emphasis on immediate gratification. According to Freud, when individuals experience a desire or encounter a source of pleasure, there's a natural and instinctive impulsive to satisfy that desire as quickly as possible. This drive for immediate pleasure often takes precedence over considerations of long-term consequences or delayed gratification. The pleasure principle plays a significant role in early human development. According to Freud's theory, he believed that infants, in particular, are primarily governed by this principle. For example, when a hungry infant cries, it is seeking immediate nourishment and trying to alleviate the discomfort of hunger. However, in an individual's mature and interactive society, the pleasure principle frequently encounters conflicts with external reality and societal norms. Societal rules, expectations, and the need for cooperation often requires individuals to delay gratification, consider consequences, and adhere to social norms. This tension between immediate pleasure seeking and conformity to social expectations can lead to complex psychological dynamics. As individuals grow and develop, they gradually acquire a sense of reality principle. This principle acknowledges that immediate gratification is not always possible or societally accessible. It involves the capacity to delay gratification, take into account potential consequences, and adhere to societal norms and values. The development of the
Bro, why does this video keep fucking...
reality principle is seen as a crucial aspect of psychological...
No alliances are chosen.
maturation. In the realm of psychoanalysts, the
What does she want?
pleasure principle is often contrasted with the reality principle. Understanding that interplay between these two principles helps psychoanalysts explore the dynamics of human behavior and the potential conflicts that can arise when an individual's psyche. Radical freedom. Radical freedom is a philosophical concept that explores the idea of absolute or profound freedom, often associated with existentialist or existentialist-influenced philosophical thought. It emphasizes the extent to which individuals have the capacity to make choices and determine the course of their lives independently of external influences and predetermined factors. At its core, radical freedom suggests that individuals possess an inherent and unrestricted autonomy of freedom of choice. This means that they have the capacity to make decisions and take actions independently without being determined by external forces, such as fate or pre-existing conditions. The concept of radical freedom is closely associated with existentialism, a philosophical movement that emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries. Existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir explored the idea that human existence is characterized by radical freedom. They argue that individuals are condemned to be free, meaning that they make choices even in situations of uncertainty and more ambiguity. Radical freedom carries with a sense of responsibility. If individuals have the capacity to make choices freely, they are also responsible for the consequences of their actions. Existentialist philosophers often emphasize the weight of this responsibility and the anxiety it can generate. If the existentialist tradition, living in accordance with one's radical freedom, is associated with authenticity, authentic existence involves making choices that reflect one's genuine values and beliefs rather than conforming to external pleasures or societal expectations. When radical freedoms offer the potential for self-determination and authenticity, it also presents challenges and existential anxiety. The responsibility to make choices in a world devoid of absolute meaning can be overwhelming, and individuals may grapple with feelings of anxiety and dread. Philosophers who delve into the concept of radical freedom often explore questions related to ethics, identity, and the nature of existence. They examine how individuals navigate the complexities of freedom, choice, and the responsibility in their lives. Radical freedom invites philosophical inquiry into the profound autonomy and capacity for choice that individuals possess, highlighting the philosophical exploration of the challenges, responsibilities, and existential aspects of human existence in a world where individuals are confronted with the necessity of making choices without absolute guidance or predetermined destinies. Ready at hand is a philosophical concept introduced by the German philosopher Martin Heidegger. In his influential work, Being in Time, this concept is part of Heidegger's exploration of human existence, perception, and our engagement with the world. In Heidegger's philosophy, the term ready at hand refers to the way in which we typically encounter and interact with tools and equipment in our everyday lives. These tools are not typically the focus of our conscious attention. Instead, they are part of the background of our activities. When tools are ready at hand, we will use them in an unconscious or pre-reflective manner. We don't consciously think about the tool itself, but rather focus on the task or goal we are trying to achieve with it. The tool becomes an extension of our intentions and our actions. When a tool is functioning smoothly and serving its purpose effectively, it tends to recede in the background of our awareness. We are not explicitly aware of the tool itself, but we are fully engaged in our activity without disruption. Heidegger contrasts the concept of ready at hand with unready to hand, which occurs when a tool breaks or malfunctions. In such situations, the tool becomes the focus of our attention, disrupting our activities and revealing our dependence of the tool. The concept of ready at hand is significant in Heidegger's philosophy because it challenges traditional philosophical approaches that prioritize theoretical contemplation and detached observation. Heidegger argues that our primary mode of engagement with the world is practical, involving our skills, our tools, and our everyday lives. Heidegger's exploration of ready-at-hand tools is allied to his broader examination of human existence and the way we navigate the world, and underscores the idea that our everyday practical engagement with the world is a fundamental aspect of our existence and understanding of being. Overall, ready at hand is Heidegger's philosophy highlights the way we interact with tools and equipment in our daily lives. It emphasizes the practical, pre-reflective nature of our engagement with the world and challenges traditional philosophical approaches that prioritize detached observation and theoretical contemplation. This concept is part of Heidegger's larger project of rethinking the nature of human existence and our relationship with the world. Thrownness. Thrownness is a philosophical concept associated with the existential thinker Jean-Paul Sartre. It is a term used to describe the fundamental condition of human existence, emphasizing the idea that individuals find themselves thrown into the field without having chosen or controlled the circumstances of their birth and existence. Thrownness refers to the fact that individuals are born into a world in a specific set of circumstances without having any say in the manner. You don't choose your family, you don't choose the place of birth, your culture, or circumstances without having any say in the matter. You don't choose your family, place of birth, culture, or historical period. These aspects of your existence are imposed upon you, and you must grapple with them whether you like it or you don't. While individuals are thrown into existence without choice, Sartre also emphasizes the concept of radical freedom, as we talked about briefly earlier. He argues that even though you don't choose your initial circumstances, you are free to make choices and shape your own existence within the limitations of your situation. The concept of thrownness carries within a sense of responsibility. Sartre believes that individuals are responsible for their choices and their actions, despite the constraints of their thrownness. The responsibility arises from the idea that, even in the face of external limitations, you are free to decide how you respond to your circumstances. Sartre encourages individuals to live authentically by embracing their freedom and taking responsibility for their choices. Living authentically involves making choices that align within your values and beliefs rather than conforming to societal expectations or external pressures. The awareness of thrownness and the burden of freedom can lead to existential angst or anxiety. Individuals may grapple with the meaninglessness of existence and the weight of their own choices. This existential angst is a recurring theme in Sartre's philosophy. In summary, thrownness is a concept that underscores the existential condition of human existence, highlighting the tension between the lack of choice in one's initial circumstances and the initial freedom and responsibility to make choices and shape one's own life. It invites individuals to confront the challenges and opportunities of their existence and to live authentically in the face of their own thrownness. The will to power is a concept deeply rooted in the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. It's a multifaceted and central theme in the work that has sparked numerous interpretations and discussions among scholars and thinkers. At its core, the will to power represents Nietzsche's view of a fundamental driving force in all living beings, including humans. Nietzsche believed that life, in its essence, is characterized by a relentless striving for power, dominance, and self-preservation. This concept extends beyond more physical or biological aspects and encompasses psychological and intellectual dimensions as well. For Nietzsche, the pursuit of power is a fundamental aspect of human nature. One of the significant implications of this concept is Nietzsche's critique of traditional moral values, particularly those rooted in Judeo-Christian ethics. He argued that conventional notions of good and evil are ultimately expressions of power dynamics. According to this perspective, morality has often been employed as a tool by those in power to maintain their dominance and control over others. Nietzsche further distinguished between master morality and slave. Master morality is associated with qualities like nobility, strength, and the affirmation of one's desires. In contrast, slave morality arises from a position of subjection and is characterized by values such as humility, meekness, and compassion. Nietzsche saw that these two moral systems as conflicting and believed that slave morality emerged as a response to master morality. A central concern in Nietzsche's work was the critique of traditional Western values, which he perceived as life-denying and inhibiting the full expression of the will to power. He called for a reevaluation of these values and a reassertion of life-affirming values that embrace individual creativity and self-expression. Nietzsche was also deeply concerned about the rise of nihilism, the belief in the absence of objective meaning or values. He recognized that the rejection of traditional values could lead to a crisis of meaning. However, he also saw it as an opportunity for individuals to create their own values and affirm life on their terms. In his philosophical exploration, Nietzsche introduced the concept of Übermensch, often translated to Overman or Superman. The Ubermensch represents an individual who has transcended conventional morality and societal constraints to create their value and live in accordance with their will to power. It serves as a symbol for human potential and self-empowerment. Nietzsche's ideas on the will to power are rich and complex, and they influence various fields, including philosophy, psychology, literature, and cultural studies. While interpretations may vary, the concept remains a cornerstone of Nietzsche's thought, offering a lens through which to examine human nature, morality, and the pursuit of meaning and power in life. And I totally know I mispronounced those German names in Nietzsche's. I totally mispronounced that philosopher's name, so please forgive me.
He's been mispronouncing every single philosopher's name.
Is a philosophical idea that there is
one
ultimate
How should I do
substance
this?
in the universe, often referred to as God or nature.
Let's
this
put
substance
these
encompasses
guys
everything,
back here.
both physical and mental, rejects the distinction between the natural world and a personal deity found in traditional religious beliefs. Spinoza's philosophy emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things and is deterministic, meaning that everything follows strict causal laws. It also has ethical implications, suggesting that understanding this unity can lead to a sense of well-being and harmony in life. Society of the Spectacle. The Society of the Spectacle, conceived by French philosopher and Marxist theory Guy Debord, presents a thought-provoking examination of modern society. At its core, this concept explores how contemporary culture has become defined by a phenomenon known as the spectacle. Here's a more detailed exploration. In the concept of the Society of the Spectacle isn't merely a form of entertainment or a collection of images. Instead, it represents a fundamental transformation of society itself. The spectacle signifies a reality where mediated experiences, images, and representations have come to dominate in society direct, lived experiences. In this society, what's perceived as real is increasingly filtered through and shaped by various forms of media, advertising, and consumer culture. Debord's analysis delves into the profound commodification of everyday life within the society. In a world consumed by the spectacle, everything from products and services to human relationships is subject to commodification. People's existence is characterized by the acquaintance and the consumption of commodities, and even their personal identities became commodities to be marketed and consumed. One of the consequences of the spectacle is a sense of alienation and passivity. Inhabitants of the society become passive spectators of their own life, increasingly detached from the production of meaning and the control of their destinies. They are bombarded with a constant stream of images and representations, which shape their desires and aspirations, often leading them to emptiness and dissatisfaction. Debord's critique underscores the role of capitalism in perpetrating this spectacle. Capitalism thrives on creating desires and fostering a culture of consumption. The spectacle serves as a mechanism for sustaining the capitalist system, as it constantly generates new images and commodities for people to desire and pursue. A significant aspect of Debord's work is its implications of revolutionary change. He argues that the spectacle effectively stifles genuine social change in the revolution by keeping individuals preoccupied with the pursuit of consumer goods and illusory desires. To counteract this, Debord advocates for detornment, a subversive technique of reappropriating and subverting the symbols and images of the spectacle to challenge the prevailing social order. In essence, the social of the spectacle is a powerful critique of modern consumer culture, where reality is increasingly mediated, commodified, and consumed through images and representations. It prompts us to question the authenticity of our experiences, the impact of consumerism, and the potential for meaningful social transformation in a society dominated by the spectacle. Debord's ideas remain relevant for understanding and critiquing contemporary media-saturated, consumer-driven societies.
I don't like that.
Online courses offered by Purdy Global helped me to grow in my career, as well as it helped me to learn new management skills. This is my comeback. Start yours at purdyglobal.edu.
Yeah, I've defeated them.
Have you been trying to get rid of your expensive electric bill, but it keeps coming back higher than it was before?
Now.
There are better ways to get rid of it than this.
Oh. End battle. I won. I hate how it always, whenever I go and click on the other screen, that it gets me out of the...
Alright, now on to Tier 4, starting off with Understanding Hegel.
How's it going?
Understanding the philosophy of George William Frederick Hegel is a challenging but rewarding endeavor.
In this book that
Hegel,
I'm reading
a
right
German
now, it talks
idealist
about
philosopher, has a profound influence on various fields of thought, including metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and political theory. At the heart of Hegel's philosophy,
Marxism,
method is the dialectical approach. This method involves a dynamic process of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Through dialectics, Hegel aims to reconcile contradictions and arrive at a higher truth.
Materialism into idealism.
Philosophical paradoxes. Hegel's philosophy is often described as absolute idealism.
Should I occupy
he possessed
it?
that ultimate reality,
Loot
which
and
he calls the
occupy
absolute,
it.
is an all-encompassing,
Sack it,
self-aware,
or
and
just
rational entity.
raise it, and that's where I just
view,
burned the whole place
the material
down.
world and human consciousness are
Which
expressions
one
of
should
this
I do?
absolute. Understanding reality involves recognizing its inherent rationality.
Anyone here
A
gonna
central
say
theme
anything?
in Hegel's philosophy
I'll
is the
just
historical
loot and
development
occupy
of
it.
human thought, society, and culture. He emphasizes that history is not mere sequence of events,
Beautifully
but a
done.
progression driven by the unfolding of human freedom and reason. The historical perspective predates his work and informs his analysis of various aspects of human life. In Phenomenology of Spirit, one of his seminal works, Hegel explores the development of human consciousness and self-awareness. He traces the evolution of human knowledge and understanding, highlighting the dialect journey from immediate sensory experience to self-consciousness. Hegel's
my
logical
army didn't
system,
even take
as
like that much
presented in
damage at
Science
all.
of Logic, is intricate and seeks to capture the fundamental structures of reality. He contends that reality is inherently rational
Why can't
and
I
can be
build on
comprehended
this
through the
yet?
study of logic and metaphysics, making his philosophy deeply rooted in the pursuit of
There we
truth.
go.
Ethics and freedom
Build
are
that.
crucial aspects of Hegel's thought. He argues that true freedom is achieved by individuals who recognize and adhere
Let's
to ethical principles that are rational and in harmony with the social order. In his political philosophy, Hegel considers the state of his highest realization of human freedom, viewing history as a progression towards the realization of the rational state. Hegel's ideas have a lasting impact on philosophy, shaping modern thoughts and influencing subsequent philosophers. His work has been interpreted and adapted by thinkers such as Karl Marx, who developed dialectical materialism, and existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre, who engaged with Hegel's concepts of freedom and recognition. While his writings can be complex and abstract, they continue to be subjects of debate and interpretation in contemporary philosophy. Hyperreality, a concept popularized by French philosopher Jean Baroud, refers to a condition where the boundaries between reality and simulation become blurred. In this state, representations and simulations can take precedence over actual reality, making it difficult to distinguish between the two. This phenomenon often emerges in modern society, particularly within media, consumer culture, and digital realms. It leads to situations where simulated or idealized versions of reality hold more sway over people's perceptions and desires than authentic experiences. Baroud's famous example of Disneyland illustrates this concept, where the theme park creates an environment where the real and the imaginary intertwine seamlessly. In our digital age, social media exacerbates hyperreality as individuals construct curated online personas, further challenging the authenticity of our experiences. Overall, hyperreality raises profound questions about the nature of reality and representation in a media-dominated, consumer-oriented world. Schizoanalysis is a concept developed by the French philosophers Deleuze and Félix Guattari in his collaborative work of Thousand Photos, Capitalism and Schizophrenia. This concept represents an alternative approach to understanding human subjectivity in social systems, challenging conventional psychoanalysis. At its core, psychoanalysis emphasizes collective subjectivity over individual psychology. It delves into the interconnectedness of individuals within social and cultural contexts, focusing on how these connections shape the formation of our subjectivity. This approach operates in a rhizomatic manner, which means it values multiplicity, interconnectedness, and lacks hierarchy. Much like the rootive system of a plant, schizoanalysis often explores the flows of desire within social and cultural contexts, examining how desire is directed, repressed, or liberated, and how it contributes to the construction of subjectivity. It stands in contrast to the traditional psychoanalytic emphasis on the Oedipus complex and family structures, instead offering a more complex understanding of desire and its role in shaping human experience. Moreover, schizoanalysis has political implications. It often critiques authoritarian and repressive power structures, advocating for more liberatory and creative forms of social organization. In summary, schizoanalysis is a challenging and innovative concept that reimagines our understanding of subjectivity and social systems by focusing on collective subjectivity, interconnectedness, desire, and the critique of traditional psychoanalytic approaches.
I kind of just want to declare war on everyone. I think
Deconstruction is a philosophical and critical theory approach developed by Jacques Derrida. It serves as both a method of analysis and a way of examining texts and ideas, particularly in the concept of language, literature, and philosophy. At its core, deconstruction seeks to reveal the complexities and contradictions inherent to language, thought, and culture. It challenges binary oppositions, such as good and evil or presence and absence, by showing how one term in such pairs often dominates and defines the other. Deconstruction destabilizes these hierarchies, demonstrating that meaning is contingent and context dependent. Derrida's concept of differentiation emphasizes that meaning is deferred and never fully present. It's always in a state of differentiation and never fixed or stable. This notion challenges the idea of a fixed and stable meanings in language. Deconstruction also leads to the idea of undisability, subjecting that there is no ultimate definitive interpretation or text or concept, meaning it is subject to interpretation. It is never fully pinned down to a single fixed interpretation. Context plays a significant role in deconstruction. Texts are considered polysemious, containing multiple meanings that depend on the context of interpretation. Deconstructive readings explore the various meanings a text can generate. Ultimately, deconstruction questions the concept of legitimism, which assumes a central fixed point of origin or truth in a language. Instead, it highlights the inherent instability and playfulness of language, emphasizing that meaning is contingent, contextual, and constantly evolving. This approach has had a profound impact on literary criticism, philosophy, and the understanding of language and meaning.
Casualties high. Ooh. Retreat. No, we're gonna fight.
Disciplinary society. In Michael Foucault's analysis, a disciplinary society represents a social structure and system of power characterized by persuasive surveillance, control, and normalization. In such a society, institutions like prisons, schools, hospitals, and factories play a significant role in shaping individual behavior and identities. The concept of the panopulsion, with its constant potential for surveillance, illustrates how individuals come to regulate their behavior through the awareness of being watched. Hierarchical structures of authority and power are prevalent in a disciplinary society, spanning from the state to educational institutions and workplaces. At the same time, there is a paradoxical emphasis on individualization, with people encouraged to view themselves as unique individuals even as they conform to societal norms. Technologies of power, including surveillance technologies, psychological techniques, and classification systems, are key tools in maintaining control and discipline. These mechanisms extend beyond specific institutions, permeating society and influencing both individual behavior and the collective understanding of what it is to consider normal or acceptable. Foucault's analysis is disciplinary societies has a profound impact on various fields, providing a critical framework for examining the dynamics of power and control in modern societies, as well as the normalization of knowledge and behaviors.
Can I click on them? Oh, okay, sweet.
Cybernetics is a multidisciplinary field of study that emerged in the mid-20th century, focusing on the control, communication, and regulation of systems across various domains. The term cybernetics itself originates from the Greek word kubernetes, meaning steersman or governor, highlighting its central theme of feedback and control in diverse systems. Key features of cybernetics include its emphasis on feedback loops, which enable systems to self-regulate by continuously monitoring and adjusting their outputs based on inputs. Cybernetics adopts an interdisciplinary approach, drawing from fields such as engineering, mathematics, biology, psychology, and social sciences to develop common principles applicable across different systems. A core concept in cybernetics is systems thinking, which encourages understanding the system's behavior through the relationships and the interactions among its components rather than examining them in isolation. This systematic perspective explores how information flows within a system and shapes its behavior. Another fundamental idea is self-organization, which explores how systems can spontaneously organize and adapt without external intervention. This concept is particularly relevant in fields like biology, where it explains the emergence of patterns and structures in nature. Cybernetics has made significant contributions to artificial intelligence and robots, impacting the development of autonomous systems, machine learning, and intelligent agents. Moreover, it raises ethical and philosophical questions about control, communication, and information in complex systems, particularly in the context of human-computer interaction and the societal implications of technology. In contemporary contexts, cybernetics continue to evolve, offering insights into understanding and managing complex systems in various domains, including control systems, engineering systems, biology, cognitive science, and network theory. It provides a framework for comprehending the dynamics of interconnected systems in our world, such as social networks, ecological systems, and artificial intelligence. Notable figures associated with cybernetics include Norbert Wiener, Gregory Bateson, Hans von Forester, and Stafford Beer, among others. The body without organs. The body without organs is a foundational concept in the philosophy of Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari. This concept challenges traditional notions of the human body, subjectivity, and organization. At its core, the BWO, otherwise known as the body without organs, represents a rejection of hierarchical and organized structures within the body. Unlike the traditional view of the body as an organized system with fixed functions and organs, the BWO is conceived as an unstructural and continuous field. Within the BWO, desire is allowed to flow freely and creatively, unrestricted by societal norms, structures, or hierarchies. It resists totalitarianization and fixed identity, constantly changing and evolving. The BWO is characterized by intensities and flows of desire, which are interconnected and dynamic, representing the diverse ways in which desire can be experienced and expressed. This concept also serves as a critique of the Oedipus complex and the traditional psychoanalysis, which are seen as repressive forces that impose rigid structures on the body and subjectivity. In concept, the BWO embraces the creativity potential for desire. The concept of BWO has had significant implications in the realms of art, literature, and politics, as desired artists and thinkers to explore unconventional and non-hierarchical forms of expression and organization, challenging established norms and structures. In summary, the body without organs is a central concept in Deleuze and Guattari's philosophy, representing a departure from conventional views of the body and subjectivity. It offers a space of unstructured potentiality where desire flows freely and creatively, resisting fixed identities and hierarchical organization. And alright, on to tier 5, and technically halfway through the iceberg, but it's not many entries left throughout the iceberg, because like the last few only have like 1 or 2 or 3 in the entire iceberg. So I'm not skipping any, it's just how the iceberg has been formulated and laid out. So now into the first tier or entry, tier 5, is we are ultimately nothing but an effect of the sun. The statement, "we are ultimately nothing but an effect of the sun," conveys a profound perspective that ties human existence to the broader cosmos. It suggests that our existence is intricately connected to the sun's influence on Earth. From a scientific standpoint, the sun provides the energy necessary for life through photosynthesis and plays a pivotal role in shaping our planet's climate and ecosystems. Philosophically, this statement encourages contemplation of our place in the universe and underscores the interconnectedness of all life within the natural world and cosmic forces. It can be seen as a reminder of our dependence on and connection to the sun's energy and the conditions it creates on Earth, fostering humility and an awareness of our cosmic context. The political compass is hyperstition. The political compass is a hyperstition, suggests a perspective that views the political compass as more than just a neutral tool for assessing political beliefs. Instead, it implies that the political compass holds a kind of influence or power that goes beyond its empirical accuracy. In this context, hyperstition implies that the political compass, through its categorization and assessment of political ideologies, has the ability to shape or influence political discourse and behavior. It operates not merely as a descriptive tool, but as something that contributes to the construction of political reality through collective belief and usage. This perspective encourages critical thinking about the ways in which political categorization tools and ideologies can influence and construct one's understanding of politics, even if they do not necessarily align with objective truths. It raises questions about the role of such tools in shaping our perceptions of the political landscape. Gender hacking is a term used to describe a range of practices and activities related to the exploration and manipulation of gender identity and expression. It represents a departure from traditional and binary understandings of gender, often involving the rejection of societal norms and stereotypes. Those who engage in gender hacking may experiment with clothing, makeup, hairstyles, and other aspects of personal style to create unique and non-conforming gender presentations. This can be a form of creative expression and a way to authentically represent one's gender identity. Additionally, gender hacking often involves the exploration of gender fluidity and non-binary identities, challenging the conventional binary understanding of gender as strictly male or strictly female. Online communities have played a significant role in fostering awareness and acceptance of diverse gender expressions, providing support and connection for those interested in gender hacking. For many individuals, gender hacking is a means of empowerment.
This sounds super gay.
Self-discovery and resistance to traditional gender norms, as well as a way to advocate for greater gender diversity and inclusion in society. Base materialism is a philosophical perspective that focuses primarily on the material or physical aspects of reality, downplaying or rejecting the significance of non-material, spiritual, or metaphysical elements. This viewpoint posits that all phenomena in the universe can ultimately be explained in terms of physical matter and its interactions, without the need for supernatural or immaterial explanations. Base materialism often involves reductionist strategies, determinism, skepticism of metaphysics concepts, and a strong alignment with scientific empiricism. It presents a worldview where the physical universe is the sole reality, and non-material dimensions are typically disregarded or denied. The Solar Anus is a surrealist essay written by Georges Bataille in 1927. This provocative and enigmatic text blends philosophy, eroticism, and surrealism to explore themes related to desire, sexuality, and the irrational. In this essay, Bataille employs vivid and unconventional imagery, beginning with the striking idea of the sun as an anus, symbolizing waste and excess. He delves into various aspects of human existence through a lens of taboo and transgression, challenging societal norms and boundaries. The essay is characterized by its dream-like and non-linear structure,
This is no
mark of surrealism. One of the central themes in the Solar Anus is the philosophy of expenditure, emphasizing the significance of excess and non-utilitarian expenditure in life. Bataille argues that existence is not solely about rational, productive activities, but also includes moments of ecstatic and unproductive release. The text also explores the relationship between the rational and the erotic, highlighting the role of the taboo and transgression in the realm of desire. Overall, the Solar Anus' influence on surrealism and philosophical thought. It encourages readers to reconsider societal norms and engage with the irrational aspects of human existence.
It sucks because the battle's so spread out.
Societies of control is a concept introduced by French philosopher Gilles Deleuze as a way of understanding shifts in how societies exert control over individuals. Unlike earlier models of social organization, such as disciplinary societies, which were characterized by centralized and rigid control mechanisms within specific institutions like prisons or schools, societies of control operate differently. In societies of control mechanisms are distributed and flexible, adapting to various contexts. These societies rely heavily on information and data collection, made possible by digital technology and the internet. Data is not only used for monitoring, but also for predictive and preemptive purposes. Deleuze's concepts of the individual and smooth place are often referenced in the discussions of societies in control. These ideas highlight the individuality of the nature of self and the adaptable nature of control mechanisms in these societies. Control in societies of control extends beyond traditional institutions and infiltrates various aspects of life, including the economy and social relationships. Individuals are encouraged to engage in self-broadening and self-marketing. Despite persuasive control, discussions of societies of control also emphasize the potential for resistance and agency. Individuals and groups can find ways to resist and subvert control mechanisms, often through practices like evasion and anonymity. Overall, the concept of societies of control provides a critical lens through which to examine the evolving nature of power, surveillance, and individual autonomy in contemporary society, particularly in the digital age.
Recently, and for no reason at all, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to...
Alright, now on to Tier 6, starting off with Thanatos. Eros is Fred's dialect. And if you see me skipping any, it's because they're way too similar to each other, and they basically say the exact same thing, so it just saves my breath and saves your time. So now on to, like I said, Thanatos Eros is Fred's dialect. Thanatos Eros is Fred's dialect appears to be a creative or metaphorical way of expressing a concept related to Freudian theories of Thanatos, known as the death drive, and Eros, known as the life drive, within a dialectic framework. In Freudian psychoanalysis, Thanatos represents the instinctual urge towards destruction and aggression, while Eros represents the instinctual urge towards life, creativity, and pleasure. Dialectics, on the other hand, is a philosophical method that involves the examination and resolution of contradictions of opposing forces, often leading to the development of new ideas or concepts through the synthesis of opposing elements. The statement suggests that the interplay and tension between Thanatos and Eros can be understood within a dialectic framework, implying that the opposing psychological forces in Freud's theory can lead to complex psychological dynamics and transformations. However, it's important to note that the interpretation appears to be creative or a metaphorical way of presenting Freudian concepts rather than a standard or widely recognized terminology in the fields of psychoanalysis or philosophy. Psychoanalysis is fascism. I couldn't find much on this statement as a whole,
That just
so
sounds
I'll just try to
crazy.
do my best to briefly, talk about this and see what you guys think below in the comments. And it associates psychoanalysis, a psychological and therapeutic approach developed by Sigmund Freud and expanded upon by various
I don't know
theorists,
if these guys are going to be able to catch up
Fascism
over here.
is a far-right political ideology characterized by authoritarianism, nationalism, and the suppression of individual freedoms and dissent. The statement may imply that certain aspects of psychoanalysis, such as its focus on the unconscious and the role of the analyst, could be interpreted as authoritarian or controlling in nature, but I'm really not too sure, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanatos, and we kind of got into this earlier, and so I'll just do my best to explain it again, but more in depth. And so Thanatos is a term that has significance in both Greek mythology and psychoanalytic theory. In Greek mythology, Thanatos is the personification of death. He is often described as a hooded and winged figure who escorts soul to the afterlife, kind of like the Grim Reaper. Thanatos represents the concept of death itself and is distinct from Hades, who is the god of the underworld. In the realm of psychoanalysis, particularly in the Sigmund Freud's later work, the term Thanatos is used to describe the death instinct or death drive. Freud posited that alongside the life-preserving instincts, Eros, there exists an innate and unconscious human drive towards self-destruction and aggression. This death drive, represented by Thanatos, is a fundamental aspect of the human psyche and is in constant tension with the life instincts. This concept of Thanatos in psychoanalysis delves into the idea that humans have an inherent inclination towards self-destructive behaviors and aggression, which stands in contrast to the preservation of life. It adds complexity to Freud's understanding of human motivation and the intricacies of the human mind. Accelerationism is a contemporary political and philosophical concept that advocates for the acceleration of certain processes, such as capitalism and technological advancement, in order to provoke radical change or transformation in society. The central idea behind accelerationism is by pushing these processes to their limits, their inherent flaws and contradictions will be exposed, potentially leading to the emergence of a new social and political order. These are two primary branches of accelerationism, left and right. Left accelerationism aims to accelerate these processes with the goal of moving beyond capitalism to more equitable and post-capitalist society, emphasizing social and economic justice. Right accelerationism, on the other hand, aligns with more libertarian or far-right ideologies and envisions the acceleration of these processes leading to the new techno-capitalist order. Accelerationism remains a complex and debated concept, with critics highlighting concerns about its abstract nature and possible negative consequences, such as environmental degradation and social inequality.
This is a metabolism killer. This is a metabolism killer. And even this.
The Gulf War physically didn't take place, and to be honest, I have no idea what this is talking about. I couldn't find anything online or just anything anywhere about the Gulf War not taking place, because it obviously did take place. So
I've never heard.
I don't know. Let me down in the comments on what you guys think about this, and if I'm missing anything, but just let me know.
Defender of the Phoenix Throne.
All right, now onto tier 7, and starting off with the pneumogram. The pneumogram is a concept that originated within the framework of the contemporary historic and philosophical system known as chaos magic or chaos magic, which is, I guess, a different name for it. It is a symbol or diagram used in chaos magic to represent various concepts, relationships, and correspondence. The pneumogram typically consists of a geometric figure, often circular, containing various nodes of points connected by lines. Each node and line has specific symbolic meanings and associations. The pneumogram is used as a tool for meditation, visualization, and magical practice within the chaos magic tradition. The precise meaning and usage of pneumogram can vary among practitioners and writers with the chaos magic community. It is considered a complex and abstract symbol that can be customized and adapted for individual magical or philosophical purposes. It is important to note that chaos magic is contemporary and eclectic approach to magic and spirituality, characterized by its emphasis on experimentation, personal belief, and the pragmatic use of symbols and rituals.
Able to do any of that?
The pneumogram as a symbol within this tradition reflects the innovative nature of chaos magic itself.
Oh, I gotta be in a...
Lagodian praxis likely refers to a concept or set of ideas inspired by the writings and philosophy of Thomas Lagodi, an American author known for his work in the genre of horror fiction and his philosophical explorations of pessimism and cosmic horror. Thomas Lagodi's writings often delve into themes of existential dread, the absurdity of existence, and the insignificance of humanity in the face of a vast and indifferent cosmos. His philosophical outlook, influenced by thinkers like Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Nietzsche, has led to a development of a philosophical perspective sometimes referred to as Lagodian pessimism or philosophical pessimism. Lagodian practices could potentially encompass a range of ideas of practices inspired by Lagodi's philosophy and literature. This might include discussions of existential nihilism, contemplation of cosmic horror, or engagement with the themes of futility and despair that often permeate his work. As with any philosophical or literary movement, the specific interpretation and application of Lagodian praxis may be among individuals or groups who engage into Lagodi's idea. Alright, now on to tier 8, and I honestly couldn't find much for any of these, except the last one. Asafal was the first CCRU, but I couldn't find anything
there's
on the
a
other
lot
ones,
of stuff
and
about
so
Nick
if you know
Land
anything about it, comment down below, and you could get pinned by me so other people can find out more about these if they're curious about it. So please comment down below if you have any idea what any of these are on tier 8. But the one I do know and did find information on was Asafal was the first CCRU. And this draws a parallel between two distinct entities, Asafal and CCRU, Cybernetic Culture Research Unit. Asafal, founded by Georges Bataille in the 1930s, was a secret society and philosophical group known for its exploration of themes related to mysticism, eroticism, and the rejection of conventional authority. CCRU, on the other hand, was a collective of theorists and philosophers associated within the University of Warwick in the 1990s and early 2000s, known for its interdisciplinary approach that blended philosophy, cybernetics, science fiction, and cultural theory, particularly in the development of accelerationism. The statement suggests a conceptual connection between these two different groups, implying that both Asafal and CCRU shared a willingness to challenge established norms and explore unconventional ideas within their respective intellectual and historical contexts. While they were separated by several decades and operated in different areas, this statement highlights common themes related to transgression and unconventional thought in the philosophical approaches. However, it's important to recognize that these two distinct entities were their own unique contributions to philosophy and cultural theory and not directly related to each other.
Oh man.
The idea of having one stream of income just didn't sit well with me. Hi, I'm Liv. I run Double Breast, a print and design studio specializing in risograph print, branding, and web.
And alright, now on to Tier 9. And Tier 9 and Tier 10 only have one entry each.
Eastern philosophy?
I'll try to go really in depth in each of these, so yeah, let's just get into it. And Tier 9, all of it is just Eastern philosophy. And I'm not sure exactly what this entry is referring to, but I'll try my best to describe it. Eastern philosophy is a vast and intricate tapestry of philosophical thought that has evolved over millennia in the regions of Asia, encompassing India, China, Japan, and various parts of East and Southwest Asia. This tradition is marked by its profound diversity, encompassing a wide array of philosophical schools, traditions, and perspectives. It offers unique insights into fundamental questions about the nature of reality, ethics, human existence, and the pursuit of spiritual fulfillment. One distinctive feature of Eastern philosophy is its emphasis on metaphysical inquiry. Various traditions within Eastern philosophy delve into questions about the nature of reality, the self, and the universe. Indian philosophy, for instance, explore concepts like Brahman in Vendetta and its emptiness, or Suyunta in Buddhism. These metaphysical investigations are awfully deeply intertwined with ethical considerations, as Eastern philosophies seek to guide individuals towards more virtuous and harmonious lives. A key characteristic of many Eastern philosophies is their holistic and interconnected view of the world. Concepts like karma in Hinduism and Buddhism, dharma in Hinduism and Jainism, and the Tao in Taoism underline the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of living in harmony with nature in different societies. These philosophies often advocate for a balanced and sustainable approach to life, encouraging individuals to recognize their place within a larger cosmic order. Eastern philosophical traditions have also contributed significantly to the development of meditative and contemplative practices. Practices such as yoga, meditation, and mindfulness are integral to many Eastern traditions. They serve as practice methods for self-realization, self-improvement, and spiritual growth, allowing individuals to explore the depths of their consciousness and cultivate inner peace and wisdom. Unlike some Western philosophical traditions that may be highly dogmatic, Eastern philosophy often embraces a non-dogmatic and open-minded approach. It encourages personal exploration and interpretation, allowing individuals to adapt philosophical ideas to their own experiences in exploration and interpretation, allowing individuals to adopt philosophical ideas to their own experiences and beliefs. This flexibility has contributed to the enduring appeal and adaptability to Eastern philosophical thought. Eastern philosophical thoughts is deeply rooted in the cultural and historical context of the regions from which it emerged. It has a profound influence on various aspects of life, including art, literature, medicine, and governance. These philosophies have shaped the values and worldviews of millions of people throughout history and continue to do so today. Eastern philosophy has not remained confined to its place in origin. It has a significant impact on Western thought, particularly in the 20th century. Figures like Alan Watts and Aldous Huxley introduced Eastern ideas to the Western world, sparking interest in concepts like mindfulness, meditation, and the pursuit of spiritual meaning. Prominent figures in Eastern philosophy include Confucius, Laozi, Siddhartha Gautama, otherwise known as Buddha, Shankara, Nagarjuna, and various Zen masters, and I know I completely butchered those names, so please forgive me. Among others, each of these figures in their respective traditions offers rich tapestry of thought that continues to inspire contemplation, personal growth, and the exploration of life's profound questions. In essence, Eastern philosophy invites individuals to embark on a philosophical journey that extends far beyond intellectual inquiry, encouraging them to seek greater understanding, inner peace, and spiritual enlightenment. And alright, now into the final tier of the iceberg, Tier 10. And The last entry of the iceberg. Actually, Plato was right and everyone else was wrong. For the last entry of the
Plato
iceberg,
was right and
the
everyone
assertion
else
that Plato was
wrong.
right and everyone else was wrong is a bold and proactive claim within the realm of philosophy. While it is true that Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, has left an indelible mark on the history of philosophical thought, it is equally important to understand that philosophy itself is a dynamic and evolving field characterized by a multitude of perspectives, ongoing dialogue, and differing interpretations of fundamental questions. Plato's contributions to philosophy are indeed profound and wide-ranging. His ideas span various ideas of philosophical inquiry, encompassing topics such as nature of reality, the theory of forms, ethics, politics, and the epistemological foundations of knowledge. His dialogues, including the Republic and the Syllogism, continue to be studied and debated by philosophers, scholars, and students worldwide. However, it is crucial to recognize that philosophy is far from a stagnant or monolithic discipline. Instead, it is a living tradition marked by the diversity and a continuous exchange of ideas. Plato's own students, notably Aristotle, diverged from some of his teachers' doctrines and developed their philosophical systems, contributing significantly to the development of Western philosophy. Beyond Aristotle, countless philosophers throughout history have offered unique insights, theories, and perspectives on profound questions. Thinkers such as Immanuel Kant, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, John Stuart Mill, and many others have contributed to the rich tapestry of philosophical thought. Each philosopher brought their own worldview, experiences, and intellectual rigor to the philosophical discourse. The assertion that everyone else was wrong oversimplifies the complex and nuanced nature of philosophical inquiry. Philosophy thrives on debate, critical examination, and the willingness to engage with different viewpoints. It is thought that this dialect process that philosophical progress often emerges, refining our understanding of fundamental concepts and dilemmas. In conclusion, while Plato's ideas have undeniably left an enduring legacy and continue to be celebrated and scrutinized, the claim that everyone else was wrong disregards the intellectual diversity and dynamic nature of philosophy. Philosophers from various traditions and time periods have made substantial contributions to our understanding of the human condition. Ethics, politics, metaphysics, and epistemology, engaging with this rich tapestry of philosophical thought, allows for a more comprehensive and nuanced exploration of fundamental questions and ideas. So, basically, everyone's right in their own personal way in philosophy. Nothing makes you right, and nothing makes someone else completely wrong. So, I guess that's my take on this entry. And that wraps it up for the philosophy iceberg. I had to make this in a short amount of time in just an overall small window, so I didn't have much time to go back and re-record or change what I said.
Alright.
Understood. Archers! As you say. Orders received. It shall be done. Archers! For Azurian! Understood. Loyal! We will obey. It shall be done. Archers! Without fail. Eagle Claw! It will be done. For duty! Death to all! Sinaf!
Nice. Ladders have been docked. Let's see what happens over here.
Archers! Weapons ready! Acknowledge! For duty! Heir of Anarian! Advance!
So now I have this tower, so then I can go like this, and then attack.
We will obey! It will be done!
The heart of the city is within sight, my lord. Press forward.
Loyal!
Ooh, there we go.
Quickly now! Swiftly! Spearmen! Quickly now! Oriole! There is unease! It shall be done! Heir of Anarian! Lacoy! Eternal Defenders! Kinslayers! Without fail. Orifare! As you say, to the fray! Archers! Yes! Acknowledge! For order! Archers! For the Ever Queen! Eagle Claw! We away! Orders received! Archers! For Asturion! Eager for battle. Striking forth. Draw back! Draw back! Archers! At once!
Ah, shit.
Pull back! It will be done! For duty!
All right, sweet.
Ancestors be praised. Claim anything of value.
After this, I'm gonna go to bed.
That is a hero serving a foreign power, my lord. Consider recruiting such an operative into your service. One being with the right skills can solve problems that no amount of coin or labor would otherwise be able to crack.
Oh. Alright, I know. Alright, well, I'm tired. I'm gonna end right there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Probably won't be a long stream tomorrow either. Probably something close to this. Because I'm gonna have to pour concrete all day tomorrow. And I'll be tired as fuck. Alright. Well, I'll see you guys.